Good morning, students. Welcome to our class. Today we are going on with our lesson. And remember, this is a depth study where you expect questions with 10 marks, 4 marks, 6 marks, and therefore you need to have understood this topic so that you can be able to answer a question in this. And we have already covered World War I, which is also another depth study. So the two depth studies that I'm covering is in order to give you a good room where you can be able to select a question depending on your potential. So we were still going on with the Weimar Republic, and the last time when we were together, we discussed how the Weimar Republic or the Weimar government had challenges. And I also mentioned that the Treaty of Hsitory, the surrendering of the end of the World War I, they were all brave because it's like the government is the one who accepted to do what, to surrender. And we said that due to that, from the beginning, the Weimar Republic did not get to be loved by the people, to be liked by the people. So whatever they were doing, the government was just seeing it as another problem. I also discussed the problem with the Treaty of Hsitory, whereby I said they were forced to sign by the army because the army said that we are not in a position to go back to the war. We cannot be able to sustain the war. So if you don't sign the Treaty of Hsitory, it means that you are ready to take up to go to the war, and us as an army, we are not able to do it. And therefore, who can we blame for that? Are we supposed to blame the government or to blame the army who were not ready to defend its country? And I say, due to that, Hitler got a better ground to accept and become into power. Now, apart from the Treaty of Hsitory, apart from the surrendering of the war, apart from the problem or the effect of World War I that were blamed on the Weimar Republic, you find there were also other problems. And today, I want to look at other problems that occurred from 1919 that made the work of the Weimar Republic become very difficult and eventually being overturned by the Nazi regime or the Hitler government. So let's look at the other problem. One, I want to discuss the political extremists. Who are these political extremists? The political extremists here, we mean that those people who were always against what the government was doing. And because the Weimar Republic was unpopular from the start, a lot of groups emerged who tried to overthrow this government as early as 1919, immediately after the First World War I. So these were political extremist groups who had extreme views, and they wanted Germany to become a dictatorship again because they felt being a dictator government, it's more better than being a democratic government. Yet we are giving in so much to the enemy, and therefore this is among the extremists. That's why we discuss people like Hitler. The other problem was the communists. Remember, the communist regime started from 1917 once the revolution occurred in Russia, and they are out to make sure that they are able to convince as many people as possible. And here we call them the extreme left. Why are we calling them the extreme left? Because on the extreme right, we'll talk about the fascists. So the communists, they believe that everyone should have equal pay and that no one should individually own anything and everything should be shared. They believe that all factories should be owned by the workers who should share the profit equally. That's according to the communists. Remember, we said communists come the word from common, whereby everything is owned communally by the society, and therefore they don't have a big person, they don't have a small person. All people are supposed to be treated equal. On the other side, we have the fascists, and the fascists, they are the one now who are in the extreme right. So the fascists, they believe in survival of the fittest, and when we say I for myself and God for us all, and they believe that the best people, often the rich, deserve what they have because they are naturally better, and therefore we have the weak people should not be held because because the country needs only the strong people. That is an idea. Two ideas which are conflicting. On one side, the communists are saying people are supposed to own everything together. The fascists, they believe that you can work and struggle and become whatever you want. So whatever you gain, that is your own property, and nobody can share it with you. And they believe that the poor people or the weak people, they have no space in the society because they don't help in any way in developing the society. So in January the 1919, we had another problem where we are calling in the Spartists. And here the Spartists, they are divided into several categories. So Spartatists, we have the politics side of it, whereby we talk about the communist extreme left wing, what they believe, and we also talk about the fascist, the right wing. So the politics in the extreme left wing, they had their leader, and their leaders were Karl Liebknecht and Rosa Luxemburg. Then their aim, what was the aim of these communists? Their aim was to overthrow the Weimar Republic and create a communist government in Germany. Now, what did they do in order to achieve that? They tried to start a revolution in Berlin, and they took control of the government newspapers headquarters and the telegram bureau, but they failed to capture anything else. So they want some support from the working class, but you find again they will not be able to, because they were not able to take off everything, they will be dealt with. So the Weimar government, they use their French corps, that the right-wing ex-soldiers, and they were able to defeat these Spartacists. So they murdered their leader, both of them, and crushed the uprising. But you find that even if these French corps put down several other communist rising in 1919 as well, but you find they have left a seed, because you find that the workers were for these Spartacists who believed that people, they need to be treated the same way. Now another uprising occurred in March, that is January. Now March 1920, another problem occurred, and here we have another movement where we are calling them the Pusheen, and it was also a political whereby they were under the French corps. Remember, these are the ex-soldiers of the extreme right wing. They are the one who helped to end the Sparticists. Who were their leaders? Their leader was Wolfgang, one of the faction commanders, and their aim again was to overthrow the Weimar Republic and create a military right-wing dictatorship to ignore the Treaty of Versailles. I think this is where now we can fix Hitler. Now what did they do? For them, they marched also into Berlin and took it over. President Albert and the Weimar government were forced to run away. So the CAP declared a new right-wing government. Okay? So you find the two parties, they are trying to overthrow the government. Now what will happen to the CAP Pusheen? You find that the President Albert appealed to ordinary workers to help, and they went on strike, refusing to work for CAP and the French corps, and the strike was so successful that the CAP had to pull out of Berlin within days. However, so none of the leaders of these Pusheen were punished, as the judges were sympathetic to the right-wingers. So you find in the left wing, people were killed, the leaders were killed, but now on the right wing, the judges were sympathizers, and therefore they did nothing to the leaders of the Pusheen wing. So you find these are two strong powers that were trying to pull the Weimar government from right, from the left, from all corners, and therefore you find that the government is not able to do much because they are always on their toe, looking at the opposition, what they are planning. Now apart from that, we have other small uprising that occurred in Germany, and one of them we call it the Red Rising in the Ruhr, and this was a communist attempt to take over the government in Ruhr in 1920. The other one is the Munich Pusheen, And this is where now Hitler's attempt to seize power in 1923, and more later you find Hitler becoming into power. So we need to remember the following, that such questions, they occur in an exam, but the question do not often ask about political extremists, although you may get questions about the Pusheen, but you should think about mentioning political extremists when talking about the problem that the Weimar Republic faced. You talk about those extremists, and you might also talk about these uprising if asked about the opposition there was to the government. Also, you must remember that the government also, you must remember that the republic successfully defeated all the uprising. So you might mention this as a question on achievement of the Weimar. So let's meet in our second clip and get to understand what happened later.